All right, so recording has started. Let me just share my screen. One of the important, sorry, just let me close everything. Now let's keep this. All right, one of the important lecture is about the abstract class and polymorphism. We discussed this before, but it's okay, and it's a good idea to repeat it again and again because it's so important. So I want you to focus with me, please, and let me just see how many students we have now. We have 20 till now. I'm sure there other students will come. So last lecture we reviewed and repeated the inheritance, right? And we covered everything related to inheritance, starting from the types, etc. Let me see if we missed anything. Inheritance mode, inheritance type, types also. All right. So last lecture we covered the inheritance. In today's lecture we'll cover the rest of the points related to inheritance, which are the abstract class and polymorphism. So abstract class and polymorphism, and we've started a little bit. We said abstract displaying only essential information and hiding others. All right. So this is the basic idea of abstract class, and we took it as an example. Uh, the user do not need to see the entire code and the entire and everything, like all the information. The user needs to just like when you are using your cell phone, you can touch the screen and do the functions regardless of what's happening behind. So the main thing and the same thing here in the abstract is to provide the user with the essential information only. So this is the first example of abstract class. We said the first way or the first method of abstract class is the virtual function, and this is, since we made it equal to 0, then it's pure virtual. Okay, function. So when I defined this is yeah, when, for example, this example shape, this is the pure virtual function. What's the meaning of this? Let's read the rest of the things in the class and we'll get back to this after we finish. So I have here the shape which has set W, the setter, W equal double, so small w equal capital W. This is just to initiate, and set H double H of double H equal H small h equal H. That means I have the protected small w and small h. So now everything is just fine. We don't have anything new. It's a regular class and we don't have any issue with this. But here when we added this pure virtual function, which is called get area, and we made it equal to 0. If it's only get area, then it will be just like a regular function, but we made it equal to 0. Please focus here. It's very important that in order to make the function mandatory, you have to make it equal to 0. All right. If it's not equal to 0, it will not be mandatory. Then this is the class. All right. And we are going to define classes that inherit this class. Like if we define a circle, inherits shape, okay, or rectangle, inherits shape, Then, if we define, for example, now a rectangle, inherit shape, then the rectangle here will inherit everything. Will be having this function and this method. It will be having double W and double H. All right, but it will, as we said, it will inherit everything here, but it has to define a function called get area and define the code. Okay, so let's see here. Class rectangle inherits public shape. So it inherited everything like W, H, set W, set H with the code. All right, except what? Except get area. Why? Because get area is defined here as virtual function and it's equal to 0, and we call it again pure virtual. All right. Please, if you read it again and again and watch the recording again and again, this is very, very important thing. I have declared a virtual function. It's a regular virtual function, but when I equate it to 0, then it's mandatory. It's called pure mandatory. Okay, it's called pure virtual function, and every class that inherits this class should define this. That's why here, if you don't define this, then you'll get error. All right, the error says that there's a function that you have to declare or to define. Of course, here you can write whatever inside the function. So since it's get area, return W times H for rectangle. For triangle, also it will inherit W, H, set W, set H with the code, but it has to define get area in which return W times H over 2. So any class that will inherit shape should declare this function. Okay, and again it's pure virtual function. Okay, why is pure? Because it's equal to 0. This is the full code. Okay, class shape again protected H W public set H set W and virtual double get area equals 0. So this is the function that every or all the subclasses should define. All right. Now, after we finish the abstract definition, abstract class, let's talk about the polymorphism. Polymorphism is a Greek, I think, Greek word, means using the same thing more than once, or from poly. Poly means multiple, all right? Just like, I don't know, you will find this word is used frequently in English. It means multiple things. So polymorphism, that means using the same function more than once, but with different functionality or different number of parameters or different types of parameters. So for example, the function double area of double H double W can be used with different functionality depending on the shape class which used it. Actually, we did it here. If you can see here, get area is the same function, right? With W and H, but with different instructions inside. So when you use the same function, same name, and with different functionality or different instruction inside, this is also known as a polymorphism. All right. So what are the types of polymorphism? In polymorphism, I have compile time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism. Okay, compile time is divided into function overloading, which was seen before, when I use get area. Okay, this is function overloading, and of course the second thing is operator overloading. Operator overloading, uh, as you can see now, plus, for example, when I say x equal or r equal x plus y, that means addition. Okay, if r is integer, x is integer, and y integer, then it's integer addition. But if I write, for example, d equals a plus b, and this is float or double, okay, and this is float, then I get float d. See, the same symbol, the plus, I use to add. And same thing with multiplication. Now, operator overloading, I can, in the class, I can use the same operation, which is commonly used, but with different meaning. We will take an example after in the next slide. So in compile time, we have function overloading, operator overloading. In runtime, we have the virtual functions. Okay, this is what we explained earlier. All right. Okay. Compile time. Function overloading, function with the same name but with different number and or type of parameters. For example, here I have class A. This is just for practice and for explanation. I have class A. I have public void print. I have here a function called the print, okay, of integer x. See here, I have integer x. I have here double x. I have two variables, but the same name of the function, okay? And of course, some functionality inside here, just printing things. So when I write here a dot print of 5, then it will check, it will find that 5 is an integer. Okay, although the same function, and the program has 3 print. Okay, but based on the type integer, it will go to the first one. Now the second one, a print 2215, for example, it will find that there are 2 variables. So it will come and check the first one. No, it's not suitable. The second one, no. The third one is correct. Then it goes and executes this one. Okay. So depend on the type of the parameters and the number of the parameters, it will implement the appropriate function, although all of them are having the same name. Okay. Okay. Next, let me just check and see if everybody is around. How many students we have? I hope everybody is here. Yeah, 31. So, by the way, I checked because this part is extremely important. You have to understand, and I will explain it. If you want me to repeat it again and again, I don't mind. It's okay with me. Okay, so I have a class here called coordinates. Okay, which has x and y. Coordinate, you know, x and y. Okay, just like points, when you say this point is 5, 3, and this one is -2 and -4, etc. Okay, so here we have a class. We defined a class called coordinates, private x and y. Okay, we have also the constructor here, integer x. By the way, this is something additional. I put it to avoid having error if you don't use the constructor. All right. So it's enough to write in integer x1, integer y1, x equal x1 and y. So now everything is you are familiar with. We don't have anything, but here is the operator overloading. And for sure you will get a question about it in the exam. All right. So operating overloading, redefining the operator to be applied to specific variable of type defined in a class. So here I have coordinates. The class is coordinates. So I want to change the meaning of plus, okay, and minus, and of course you can change the division. You can change the multiplication, you can change the mod operation. Almost all the operations can be changed to have different meaning when applied to between the coordinate type, except of course dot or this scope or this or size of. Okay, these cannot be overloaded. Okay, now let's see what's going on here. First of all, the type, okay, the return value should be of the same type of the, this is one of the rules, all right? Let me just delete everything and tell you again how to write or to do the overloading. First of all, the type of the class or the name of the class is coordinate. So the type, the return type is the same class, okay? Here I will link them together. Then the keyword operator should be written. This is keyword. Then the symbol that you want to change the meaning, all right, or give definition. So here I'm using a plus. Okay, then inside I should have another variable of the same type, which is coordinate constant and reference to a pointer, obj or any other name, x, y, z, whatever. Obj is commonly used. Okay, so also I need to define a variable of the same type, which is coordinate. So how many type we have now? We have or how many variables? We have 3 variables. All right, the reference and xy, this xy, and of course the result, which will be the result of the operation. So result.x, okay, equal x. This is the x plus object.x plus the x part of the object. All right, result.y equal y plus object.y and return res. So the value or the variable res of type coordinate will be returned. Okay. Now, if I want to ask you to do the subtraction, and by the way, it's commonly used that since I'm changing the plus, then this is a plus, but that doesn't mean it's mandatory. You can use it as minus, but it will be meaningless. All right. Now, if I want you to overload the minus operation, then what will you do? First of all, think of the return type is coordinate. Then this is keyword. Then this the symbol minus of. Inside I have also coordinate constant object, and I need to declare coordinate result. So result.x equal x minus object.x, result.y minus y minus object.y, and return result. Okay, now I want you to overload the division. Okay, see how to write it. If you get a question like this, first of all, and you have it with you, you have to use the same okay, then operator, this is a keyword, then the symbol, then of, same thing, coordinate, constant, and object. Okay, and inside you need to define coordinate r, and r dot x equals x divided by object dot x, and the same thing with y. What if the name of the class is different? Suppose that the class name is ABC. Okay, then you have to change all these things to be ABC. This ABC, this one ABC, and this one ABC. All right. That doesn't mean that it has to be, the name should be coordinates. It can be any name. It depends on the name of the class. By the way, this part is very important. Okay. You have to read it. You have to try it. Okay. You have to understand every single word of this example, and I explained to you several times. And now, please, if you have any, if you don't feel very comfortable that you understand this, go and check the recording again and again. All right. So how to use it now? See if I have this coordinate C1, C2, this 7, 5, and C2, 12, 6, and C3. Then C3 equals C1 plus C2. It will apply the new definition of the plus. That means 7 plus 12 and 5 plus 6. All right. So in this case, and of course the same thing with minus. So 7 plus 12 equal 19, 5 plus 6 equal 11. And also the subtraction 7 minus 12 minus 5 and 5 minus 6 equal minus 1. All right. So the operation or the operator overloading is to change the meaning or to the meaning of a specific symbol, like in this case the plus, minus, division, multiplication, etc. Okay. All right, we are done with this. Now let's talk about the friend functions. This part also is very important. Actually, everything is important, but because I feel that you didn't ask me about these things, I have a feeling that you didn't read it till now. So please go and read it. Study it carefully. So friend function. See, the friend function is a very nice idea. Now, it's just to define or to write a friend before the function that is defined inside the class, but it's not a member of the class. Okay, it's not a method. If without a friend, then it's a method. Okay, without the word friend or the keyword friend, that means it's a method and it's part of the class. But when we wrote friend, that means it's something outside the class. But also, you should have here the parameters is of the same. The type of the parameter is of the same as the class itself. So that's why, for example, get x of a. Now I have to use inside the class the word friend and define the function outside. So here integer get x of a, small a, return a dot x. And remember, the friend function can access, okay, private, protected, and public parameters. Actually, public can be accessed from anywhere outside the class, but private and protected is very important to understand that it's accessible by friend function. Now, if I don't have this friend function keyword, then if you want to define the function outside, if you remember, we said you have to write it like this: the name of the class, then this is scope operator, and then get X. Okay. This is just, if you go to previous lecture, you'll find some parts written like this, okay, or some functions were written like this. But here I'm talking about friend function, and friend classes, of course, also are available. Now, integer get x, return a dot x. Okay. Again, the friend function is a function or class that is defined outside the class, but has the ability to access the class members, including protected and private data. All right. Okay. Now, this is just a summary about the class access operators. If you want to access any member, like if we define a variable, we wrote a.x and a.print, etc. So I use the dot operator to access any parameter. Of course, public, access public here, members of the class. Arrow, if the object is a pointer, okay, to the object, the access, all right, to access the class member, we don't need that. Okay, to access the class member, we can use this arrow. That means minus and greater than operator instead of using asterisk dot. Okay. Scope resolution. This is important. It's used when we define a member function outside the class. By the way, here we are saying defining. We don't say declaring. We have to declare it inside. The class should contain the prototype of the function. So if I have, for example, I don't know if I, yes, if I have a class here, let's say the class is A, B, okay, and inside I define, for example, private print, okay, void print, and that's it. So when I finish the class, I remember the class always ends with semicolon, and outside I want to write this function, then I use AB scope resolution, okay, and write the name of the function. And here, for example, I can write cout hi, whatever. Okay, so this is the way, or this scope resolution is very important to access parameters from outside the class. The colon is used in inheritance. I think you are aware of it. When we say, for example, rectangle shape, this means inheritance. All right. Now, the composition also is a very important part or definition, and usually there's some kind of confusion between composition and nested classes. In nested classes, we explained it last lecture. In nested classes, that means I declare, for example, class A, all right, and inside, if I have, for example, public integer x, etc. Inside, if I define another class, class B, for example, still see, still in the same block, class B, and write anything after we finish and continue the code. When I close it now, this is open here and closed here, and this is called nested. All right, nested means defining a class inside another class, defining. But composition is a different story. Having one class as a member of another class. Example, the point can be a center of the circle. Now, if I have class point, which was written earlier, all right. If I'm using this point as a member, see, for example, I'll define class circle. Okay, and inside I have integer r, which is the radius, and point center. See what I've done here? I used a class inside. I declared declared variable of that class. Okay, so this is called composition. Yes, this is the code that we've written last time. So I have a class point, public integer x, integer y, and point integer x and integer y. This is the constructor. Now, inside the class circle, I define the center of type point, and I define the radius. Now, here in the constructor, circle of integer r and point c, I use this one just like in the inheritance, center of cx cy. Why? Because I need to initialize the center, but actually here center of cx cy will go there for initialization. All right, and of course here I only need the radius. Now, for example, here if I declare point P equal point of 1, 3, and circle C equals circle of 5 and P. Okay, so I used one of the classes or the class point as a member, not a member, yes, a member in the class circle. This is what we call composition. Okay. Basic class diagram. This is also for sure you'll get question about it. So of course you'll get more details about this in object-oriented development or development, design and development. Okay, you'll be having a course like this, but it's a good idea to make you aware of this. So the class is represented like this: class name, okay, just like point in our example, attributes, integer x, or no need to put the types, x and y, and methods. For example, info, which prints everything, or get x, etc. But here also you need to specify the access specifiers like minus or plus or hash. Minus means private. Hash means protected. Plus means public. Okay, so if you want to specify one of the variables as public or private, you need to specify or put the specifier here. Just remember these things: minus, hash, and plus. So this is what we were talking about: plus, public; minus, protected. Package. This means I have a package to declare. Derived class, static, underline. These are the types. I don't think we need this now. We will use only these three types. Okay, for example, here, point, I have private. What are the privates here? Private X, private Y. What are the public? I have get X and get Y. This means the circle inherits from the point. Okay, so circle inherits from the point, and it has, in addition, minus R, that means private, and two more public functions. So circle now, circle has X, Y, R, get X, get Y, find area, and find circumferences, and has everything from point. So this is all about reviewing the classes. Although it's only 20 slides, but as you can see, there are a lot of information, or there's a lot of information you need to be aware of. Don't think that you will remember everything in the exam. Please do it, implement it, read about it, and if you have any question, we will discuss it. Let's see now. I'll stop screen sharing, or I'll keep it now. The exam was supposed to start now. It's 11:07, so I'll make it 11:10. As I told you, you have two quizzes, quiz number 4, quiz number 5. Quiz number 5 will be today at 9 p.m. Quiz number 5, 1 hour, today at 9 p.m. And it's an extra quiz, all right? So let me just change this. Okay, so in 2 minutes you will get the quiz. And of course, quiz number 5, it will be today at 9. It's very important. I cannot say it's something extra, although it's extra, but it's very important to take it. So I'll stop recording now and give you the time to take the quiz, and you can ask me anything you want.